The story starts here, in the heart of the city.
We continue to follow the ongoing developments.
The student group is the first to take on such a project.
Everyone is waiting for a vote on the bill.
The team is winning at a record-breaking pace.
It's an issue for residents here and around Boston.
The story is coming up on Suffolk U News.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Suffolk U News, the weekly news program brought to you by the Department of Communication and Journalism at Suffolk University. I'm Jessica Bard from Harleysville, Pennsylvania.
And I'm Carla Rojo from Lowell. We're happy to be coming to you from our studio in downtown Boston, courtesy of your cable company and on the internet. For months, drivers trying to get to Logan Airport from downtown Boston have had to find an alternate route. But with the Callahan Tunnel project expected to finish on schedule and open back up on March 12th, things will soon be getting easier. The tunnel has been closed to traffic since December in order for construction crews to perform necessary repair work. The $35 million project included the replacement of deteriorating wall panels and the tunnel's bottom deck. The tunnel carries more than 30,000 cars between the North End and East Boston on an average weekday. According to officials, some construction will continue after the tunnel reopens to traffic, with overnight closures on several weekends. A little further down Interstate 93, a movement has begun to clean up the areas underneath the overpass. The space under the structure that separates the South End from Southie has been a breeding ground for unwanted activity, and the Massachusetts Department of Transportation is currently adding parking spaces and lighting to the area. Developers on Albany Street in the South End donated $250,000 to the improvement project. At least part of the now dark and abandoned area will be turned into some sort of community space.
A local company is hoping you'll cash in on a new currency now available at South Station. The company Liberty Teller has created a Bitcoin ATM kiosk, the first of its kind in the country. Basically, you put bills in and you get a digital currency sent to your digital wallet, which is stored in a specific scannable code. The claim is it's safer to spend Bitcoins than using debit or credit cards. The kiosk has also been open for a little over a week, and Liberty Teller founder Chris Yim believes his company is allowing people to purchase Bitcoins in a more streamlined way.
Right now it's quite difficult to acquire Bitcoin, and we're trying to make it something that's really easily understood, very intuitive, very user-friendly, and something that you can do in under 30 seconds.
Hundreds of people have signed up for Bitcoin since the kiosk opened. A good amount of websites currently accept Bitcoins as currency, as well as 2 restaurants in Cambridge.
When a company makes a product that's critical in commercial success, that company is typically rewarded.
But less than a year after releasing video game BioShock Infinite to the tune of more than $1 billion in revenue, Quincy-based company Irrational Games shut down last month.
The closing resulted in nearly 100 employees losing their jobs. So Suffolk U News reporter Dan McCarthy looked into the rationale of Irrational Games' decision.
More than 70% of the Irrational Games workforce was let go last month. A sad fate, but in the gaming industry, an all too familiar end game.
Right now, if you're going into the games industry or have an interest in it, you've got to know it is so volatile.
Suffolk University professor Nina Huntman leads a class on the history of video games. But as she looks to the future, she believes blockbuster builders like Irrational Games are being squashed for smaller projects.
The games industry that is thriving, especially in Boston, is actually a much smaller games that don't take nearly as long to develop and don't cost nearly as much money.
65 different gaming companies call the Bay State home, making Boston the 5th largest hub for industry jobs in the country. In Cambridge, Proletariat Incorporated has been making mobile and tablet games since 2010. But CEO Seth Syvac says that he has as much experience with a pink slip as he does greenlighting a project.
Every single person on the Proletariat team has been laid off at least once. Games are hard to make. They're probably, some of the most challenging bits of software you can build, and so you need to want to do it. If you're in the game industry because you think you'll make big bucks, you're in the wrong place.
While Irrational Games would not comment on our story, they did hold a job fair open house here at their former offices in the Hancock Plaza in Quincy last week. The goal is that while it's game over for the company, they can continue the careers of the over 70 game developers who lost their jobs. Dan McCarthy, Suffolk U News.
Irrational Games CEO Kevin Levine released a statement on the company's website following the decision. He will maintain a team of 15 employees to work on a smaller scale game projects. There haven't been any issues creating jobs in the Innovation District, but filling those jobs is a different story. The Massachusetts Technology Leadership Council planned to create 100,000 new tech jobs by the year 2020. Only 11,000 have been added since the plan's creation 5 years ago. Startup Accelerator Program Mass Challenge is underway again this year, and CEO John Hawthorne says it just takes one good year to put Boston back on top.
One big success story can suddenly employ tens of thousands of people alone. And that can happen over the period of 1 or 2 years. So it's really like it's an exponential growth cycle. At the beginning, it looks linear and it looks flat, but then it starts to tick upward.
Mass Challenge will be moving to a larger Innovation District facility this summer to accommodate more startup companies.
The 118th running of the Boston Marathon is just 7+ weeks away. We began our coverage of the race last week and continue now with stories leading up to the event that will hold even greater significance this year. The charity created to raise money for victims of last year's bombings has named its first executive director. One Fund Boston has hired Lori Van Dam to help with the distribution of millions of dollars in aid to help victims of the attack. The One Fund has raised more than $73 million. The Boston Athletic Association has a new program called Boston Marathon World Run, a mobile application and website that lets runners around the world participate in the 2014 run. The goal is to build a community of virtual runners and fans from all over the world who can participate, donate, post pictures and videos, and interact with one another in real time. It's a free app available on any smartphone and also on the web at bostonmarathonworldrun.org. Once again, that's bostonmarathonworldrun.org.
If a 5K is more your speed or distance, this year's Boston Athletic Association 5K race will be a little different than past years. First, an additional 3,500 runners are signed up, bringing the field size to just more than 10,000 runners. Second, in order to accommodate that many people, the start and finish lines have been relocated from Copley Square to Charles Street between the Boston Public Garden and Boston Common. BAA representatives say the course itself is essentially the same, just the start and finish lines are different.
Firefighters from around North America have been gathering donations for Muscular Dystrophy Association since 1954.
But last fall, the North End Fire Station on Hanover Street had its boots stolen with the donations in it.
Suffolk U News reporter Katie Shambo joins us here in the studio to tell us how Suffolk's only fraternity came to the rescue of those who usually do the rescuing.
Right, many people don't even know Suffolk has a fraternity, but that doesn't stop Sigma Alpha Epsilon from lending a helping hand. One of the fraternity brothers, Kevin Flaherty, had a vision to rebuild the boot and teamed up with Metaltronics Incorporated to accomplish this goal.
As philanthropy chair, we have to pick a project, and I said, guys, we got to do this. This is a community that we want to give back to because we live here. This is our home away from home for most of the year.
Since the boot was stolen, several North End residents have been stopping by the station to drop off donations. But thanks to SAE and Metaltronics, there is now again an official donation booth. A senior fire lieutenant at the station says he is very grateful.
It's pretty awesome because I said earlier that we're so used to going out at times and helping people that, you know, when somebody turns it around and helps us, it's a little overwhelming.
The crafting of the new boot was made possible after the fraternity took action to contact Metaltronics Incorporated. Originally, the plan was to repair the old boot, but upon inspection, the president of the company, James Andaloro, said they would have to do better than that. That was when the plan to make the new boot came to light, and Andaloro says he's almost certain this one isn't going anywhere.
We designed, engineered, and built a, an armor-plated box, pretty much, that you would probably need a tank to open up.
The boot was put out front of Engine 8, Ladder 1, shortly after it was presented.
And then it'll be there all year-round, 24/7.
The crafting of the boot took nearly 2 weeks to complete, but will reside in the North End much longer. Jess, Carla, and I were both at the event. Great group of guys on both ends.
Yeah, it was really great to see, the firefighters are usually such strong people, be really emotional, so it was great. According to the International Association of Firefighters website, it has raised nearly $275 million for the Muscular Dystrophy Association since the organization became the union's official charity in 1954.
While some students are getting ready to leave for a typical spring break, others are gearing up for an alternative one. 120 Suffolk University students are making their way to 10 different locations from Passadunk, Maine to Puerto Rico this Saturday. They will be participating in anything from building homes to dealing with social justice issues. Alternative Spring Break scholar Ty Tao explains why students trade a week relaxing for this opportunity.
The people who asked Habitat with Humanity to help build their house, they really can't afford it. So that's why they need volunteers like us to come down and kind of help build a home for them. And that's why we go down there. And usually these communities really can't, they're really run down. They're very different from what we know here in downtown Boston.
Upon return, the groups will have 2 more meetings to discuss their trips.
After a 20-year absence, America's oldest brewery had its beer back in Boston. Yuengling is officially back on store shelves in Massachusetts. While bars across Boston have had their Pennsylvania beer on tap for the past week, bottles and cans of Yuengling are now for sale in liquor stores throughout the Bay State. Massachusetts is now the 15th state in the country to carry the 19th century brew. Yuengling Lager, Light, and Black and Tan are now available to purchase.
Thirsty yet? Well, there's more beer to come.
We'll tell you about a pub challenge in our Suffolk Scene Report.
And later, sick of the cold? Well, don't tell these crazy cats. We dive into the Polar Plunge in Plymouth just after the break.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Although it's almost spring, it's still freezing outside.
Yes, but there are still plenty of things to do around Boston. Diana Novakovic from Suffolk Scene is here to tell us a little bit about it.
Right, Jessica and Carla, some celebrities will be around Boston this weekend. Boston will serve again as the backdrop for another Hollywood project. NBC officials are setting the stage in downtown Boston to start filming part of a new pilot for a series called Odyssey. The shooting already started and will last until Sunday. Comedian and talk show host Chelsea Handler is set to embark on a national stand-up comedy tour in support of the release of her 5th book, Uganda, Be Kidding Me. She will perform in Boston at the Wong Theatre this Friday. For tickets, go to citycenter.org/Chelsea. Once again, the website is citycenter.org/Chelsea. The 2014 St. Patrick's Day celebration are starting early. The 6th annual Irish Pub Challenge in Boston is this Saturday, and it's not too late to sign up. Boston's largest pub crawl has planned for 5,000 people in 30 pubs stretching across downtown Boston. The challenge earned the most points through the scavenger hunt app Moonsey. Tickets are $27 and are available on its website at irishpubchallenge.com. Again, that's irishpubchallenge.com. So I'm really excited actually that they are coming here in Boston filming.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have a little piece of Hollywood here in Boston.
Right, absolutely.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you.
As National Cancer Prevention Month came to a close, folks in Plymouth plunged for philanthropy, not for pleasure.
Suffolk U News reporter Jessica Nappy takes us to the beach where close to 1,000 brave souls dove for donations that benefit the Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital for cancer research.
The beach in the middle of winter? Not a place where you usually see 1,000 people gather, especially people dressed in costume. It must be a bird. It's a plane. Nope, it's a polar plunger. The Plymouth Polar Plunge is just about the only event where people willingly whip out their flip-flops in this frigid weather, and it's all for a good cause.
We've done it for 10 years, hence the stripes. We started with my brother, who had a malignant tumor on his wrist, and just throughout the years we've plunged for just people that have had different kind of cancers, like each one stands for something different.
The Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital celebrates the first plunge since reaching $1 million raised in donations.
The whole community comes together. It's a wonderful cause. I can't believe people actually do it.
This would be my 6th time, and I think I'm nuts every time I jump in, and it's confirmed every time I get out.
It's the 12th annual year that the people of Plymouth are taking the plunge to raise cancer awareness, and let me tell you, it is not warm out here. In mere 25-degree weather, the plunge is on. And afterward, the plungers said it was worth every second.
It was freezing,
but it was
nothing compared to what cancer patients deal with, so it was all worth it.
The weather showed no signs of warmth, but warmed hearts left the beach after a successful plunge. Jessica Nappy, Suffolk U News.
The Plymouth Polar Plunge raised more than $110,000 just this year.
If you missed the plunge, you can still donate money at any time to support cancer research.
That does it for this edition of Suffolk U News, the weekly news program brought to you by the Department of Communication and Journalism at Suffolk University. I'm Jessica Vard.
And I'm Carla Rojo. Thank you for watching us here on the Boston Neighborhood Network or on the internet.
Be sure to continue to watch for our Suffolk U News, bringing you more from the school with the heart in the heart of the city.
Goodbye.